Ephraim, let's get to the news of the day. And the news of the day, on the day that the Golden State Warriors had their championship parade, the new Brooklyn Nets made news. And the report is out of The Athletic. Shams Charania reports that the Nets and Kyrie Irving, who can opt out of his deal this summer and become a free agent, he's got until June 29th to make his decision. But remember, Ephraim, there have been reports a few weeks ago that the Nets are outright unwilling, that's the direct quote, outright unwilling to give Kyrie a long-term contract extension. Then there was a report like a week later that it looks like Kyrie's going to opt in and extend. So we're getting conflicting reports. But today the report was that the Nets and Kyrie Irving are at an impasse. And if indeed the Nets are unwilling, right, as the first report said, to give him a long-term deal, that's probably what the impasse is, right? So here's what I want to throw out to you. You know Kyrie Irving's situation.
Yes, I do.
You know he's mercurial and he brings a lot with him, right, to say the least.
If how you want to put
Nets, tell me first, what would you do if you were, would you want to offer him a long-term deal? Would you only want to offer him a one-year deal? How would you look at the contract? And then now that you are at an impasse, what would your thinking be?
He can't. If I'm the GM, if I'm Nets ownership and management, I would feel I can't offer him a long-term deal.
Right.
I can't. There hasn't been enough trust established in our relationship. And to me, when you're talking about that type of money, upwards of $200 million over 5 years, trust is the most paramount thing that I need to have in someone I'm going to give that to.
Yep.
Now, the vaccine thing was one thing, right? There was a global pandemic. Nobody handled that the way they should have handled it. But the other things, right?
Right. It's not even just that.
It's not just that. And so if people are thinking, oh, well, the pandemic is over, he doesn't have to be vaccinated or anything like that, that's not what I'm talking about. That was a major sign of selfishness on his part because remember Andrew Wiggins was very vocal about not wanting to do that as well.
Yep.
Well, what did Andrew Wiggins just help his team do a few days ago?
Yep.
Right.
And Andrew Wiggins' stock is higher than ever. Individually and obviously got a ring too.
So if I'm ownership, I'm thinking, well, hell, these are two players who had the same exact stance. One was selfish, one was not. The one who wasn't won a championship with his team. Okay, right. But that's just one thing. But the fact that things that happen in the world have a profound effect on Kyrie, right? Where you go away for 2 weeks, don't tell anybody where you are or why you're missing.
Right.
Right. Like I can't
because of what happened on January 6th.
But
stuff is happening like that, unfortunately.
It's all the time.
Right. We've seen, mass shootings. How is Kyrie going to feel about it? And I get it's nice that he's got that type of empathy, but you also have to go to work. A lot of us are disturbed by those things, but we got to go to work.
Yeah, you that part of it where the lack of trust and accountability, I can't do that as an organization. I can't hamstring the franchise with a maybe. Talent on the court,
he's awesome.
Top 10 player. Yeah, that's easy. That's not what we're talking about here, though.
Right.
If it was just about that, extend him. We're gonna keep him. He's gonna retire a Brooklyn Net. But his own teammates are frustrated with that.
You know what this also is, Ephraim? It's a sign. This could be a lesson. This is a teaching moment for people, particularly young people, but all of us. Your actions have consequences. This is why the only reason, to your point, the only reason that the Nets are hesitant to give him a long-term deal or maybe just totally unwilling to is because of the things Kyrie's done off the court. That's it. And like you said, it's not about the vaccination. Honestly, if he had been not done these other things, they might be fine with that. Like, look, he's got his views. And that was that, but we're moving past that. But to your point, taking 2 weeks off because you were disturbed by events in the world, taking a week off just for an unknown family reason. You can't do those things. And I'm sure at the time, Ephraim, Kyrie's thinking, yo, my game is nice. And maybe not in these terms, but, I'm nice. All right. I'm a max player. Mm-hmm. I can do what I want. And this is the Nets stepping up and saying, well, no, you can't. All right. And also, Ephraim, there's this. Kyrie's stance on the vaccination also cost them James Harden.
Yes, it did.
And it forced them to they ended up taking Ben Simmons back, who we'll see if that fits. But that's a whole nother controversial contract. And he's got 3 years left, long-term max money. So now, and we don't know if he's going to play, right? Where's his mind at? So,
the ripple effect. It's called the ripple effect. Yes.
What I would do, Ephraim, is if I'm the Nets, I'd be willing to give him opt into your deal. We'll give you a 2-year extension, very incentivized. It can be a max deal if you play 60 games a year or something like that. So we're willing to offer, if you get these incentives, you'll get the max, but it's got to be heavily incentivized if I'm running the Nets. And I'll be honest, we haven't won with him. Boston, we've seen, as much as Kyrie is way better than Marcus Smart, they got better without Kyrie. Kyrie hasn't won anywhere outside of with LeBron. And so it's not like he's Kevin Durant or Steph Curry or somebody. So if push comes to shove, I'm willing to explore sign and trade.
Well, of course, because look, when you're talking about those type of deals, like I said before, talent is not all that we need.
Right.
The best thing that you can be as a professional athlete is available. If you're not available, then it doesn't matter how talented you are or aren't. We can't use you.
Yep.
So all of that, coming out, you score 50, you score 60. We don't need that for 12, 8, 9 games. We need it for a full 82 games. Right? At least 60.
Right.
70 games. We need that level of dominance for the majority of the season. He has not shown that he's capable or willing to do that for whatever reason. Like I said, he's very emotional. He's very tapped in to what's going on in society, and I'm not knocking that. I don't want people talking about, well, at least he cares about. I care too.
Right.
All during the pandemic, where I was on Saturday? I was right in this studio, masked up, gloved up, shield up, because I have a job to do. I would have much rather just stayed at home with my family. Right? This is pre-vaccine.
Right.
Okay, this is pre-vaccine. I'm just out here. I'm like, cross my fingers. I hope I don't bring this at home. But I have a responsibility. People are paying me to show up, so I show up. You don't get to make $38 million or whatever it is and decide, I want to do it my way.
Right.
And that's what he's shown.
And the thing is, we all get vacations, but their vacation is the off season. Mm-hmm. It's like 4 months.
Yeah.
So that's your vacation. So we don't want to hear this. He's just getting a week off like any of us could. Well, he got his vacation. His vacation is used up. In the season, we need you to show up. So we're going to keep this discussion going as we talk about Ephraim in this next segment. What teams should be interested in him, and is there a team that you would like to see offer him the max? Should anybody be willing to give him the max? And what are some potential landing spots for Kyrie Irving if indeed he is dealt? That's next on the Odd Couple. Ephraim Salaam in for Rob Parker. I'm Chris Broussard. All right, Ephraim, we were talking about this whole situation with the Nets and Kyrie Irving. let's talk about if they can't work things out. And I'm going to tell you this. I said Kyrie has until June 29th to decide whether to opt in or opt out. I think maybe part of this, maybe, I say maybe because he released a post on Instagram. I don't know what the heck it meant. Did you see it? But with the timing, it would seem like he's poo-pooing the report. It would seem. So I have no idea what that meme or video or whatever it was meant. But let's just assume he was poo-pooing the report, because why else would you put something out? So I do think this could be about Kyrie getting some leverage. If his camp leaked it, I don't know why he'd poo-poo it if his camp leaked it. But, that could be at play too. Like, I'll leave. Now what you going to do in Brooklyn? Kevin Durant loves me, so just putting it out there that I might leave so maybe the Nets come back to the table with a better offer. But I want to throw at you, if they can't work things out, what do you see the potential landing spots or some of the teams that would be interested were the Knicks, the Clippers, and the Lakers. Now, we're going to do a whole segment. We're going to get to the Lakers later. So let's talk about some of the other potential landing spots. And really, if you're another team, are any team out there outside of the Lakers who we'll get to that you would say should max him out? Like the Knicks. The Knicks need life. If you're running the Knicks, what's your thoughts on Kyrie?
I would, for someone like the Knicks, who they need a number one. Julius Randle.
They just need some excitement.
They do. But Julius Randle is a great complimentary piece. He's not the number one guy, which we've seen play out the last couple of years, especially deep into the playoffs. So the Knicks make sense. He can stay in the same home that he owns, just take another break.
Well, let me throw this at you, though, with the Knicks, because I feel you. If I'm the Knicks, I am interested. I'm not really interested for 4 years max. Unless it's, again, heavily incentivized.
Which he would never agree to, but, that's...
Well, so would you give him like a full 4-year max deal?
No.
See, that's the issue. To them, if I'm them, I kind of feel the same way as the Nets as far as what type of contract I want to offer him.
Yeah, players tend to value themselves a little higher than reality might be. Now, Kyrie is valuing himself based on his performance on the court. Right? So with that notion, yes, you deserve a 4-year max or 5-year max, fully super max deal based on your perception of what you can do on the basketball court. In reality is that we're not negotiating what you do on the basketball court. We're negotiating when you're on the basketball court.
Are you going to be on the basketball court?
When you're available to use said gifts on the basketball court. That's what we're negotiating. That's what your deal is. Now, any other player who, Kevin Durant doesn't have to worry about this, right? LeBron doesn't have to worry about this.
Because they show up to work.
They play. They go to play. So, and Kyrie's a little different. It's a special situation. And Ben Simmons will fall into that situation once he gets healthy, and if he ever plays basketball again, who knows? But now there's like a subcategory of negotiating in contracts for top tier players based on availability.
Yeah,
right? I can't pay you $50 million a year, and you're giving me 26 games.
And I get that Kyrie. There's a part of me that feels like he should be like somewhat understandable how you've missed so many games, but he's probably looking at it, Ephraim, like this. I was injured my first year there, so that wasn't my fault. And then this year, I could have handled. He may not feel this way, but I hope he understands. Look, maybe I could have handled the hiatuses differently, right? Okay, I can't just take off work next time there's a national crisis or disaster or something like that. Okay, I got you on that. I can't just take a week off for a family situation, unless it's dire, absolutely dire. Okay, I got you on that. But he's probably looking at this year, Ephraim, as, look, these were really my passionate beliefs. And so he probably isn't seeing it, unfortunately, like we are, where it's like, dude, I get it. I haven't been there. I get you wanting to put the incentives in and things like that. So I'm with you. The Knicks should definitely be interested. They can release some players, Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, and create the cap room to sign Kyrie. If I'm the Knicks, I'm interested. Kyrie would light the Garden on fire. We wouldn't be great, but with him and Julius Randle, we should be a playoff team. We're exciting. The fans are interested. We own New York again because even though Brooklyn will probably be better, they still, are the Knicks, and they're exciting. But I still only want to give you a 2-3 year deal that's heavily incentivized. Now, let's go to the Clippers. If I'm the Clippers, honestly, I got Kawhi Leonard coming back. I've got Paul George there already. I'm really not that interested.
Well,
I'm gonna keep it real.
You wouldn't be able you wouldn't be able to keep Paul George if you brought in Kyrie.
Well, they've named reports have named a lot of role players they could give up.
That wouldn't work.
But even if that did, do I need to bring?
No.
Look, I would be more talented, but do I need to bring Kyrie into that situation?
The locker room is already frayed and fractured in LA already, based on players that let Montrez and other players, what they've said.
Bev got out of there,
right, and what they've said about Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and their behavior and how they're leading the team. So you want to add another dynamic of dysfunction into the locker room?
Because the Clippers can be nice next year as they are. If they're healthy, they're a contender as they are.
But they're still the Clippers. And me being a Laker fan and an LA guy, they're still the Clippers.
The Clippers, look, if Kawhi's healthy, that's a big if.
If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
So now I know why you don't want Kyrie there, Mr. Lakers.
Please.
Fan. All right.
Look, they can go there and don't be trying to cut me off. I know we're going to trending.
We gotta run.
I know what's going on.
I know Rob G's all up in my ear, and we got to get to
you think
Steve
you slick.
Sager
You think you
John
slick.
Hollister. Oh, you're going to have time to talk about your Lakers. Don't worry about that.